looking at works by Lewis Carroll and E. Cummings at the same time makes sense because both of them were interested in the relationship between form, meaning, and nonsense. When Carroll wrote Jabberwocky, he created a poem. It has the form of a poem, has the rhyme, has the rhythm, but what's inside the form? Is there anything there? Well, yes, there is some action. You could say that there is a plot. It's fairly likely that the son does kill the Jabberwock. Well, that's plot, but that's not meaning. And yet, amateurs and professionals have gone to great lengths to say the poem means this, the poem means that, even though it's made up of some familiar words, some old words, and some words that didn't exist at all until Lewis Carroll decided that this was the word that needed to fit into the poem and made them up all on his own. I think Alice probably said it best. Somehow it seems to fill my head with ideas, only I don't know exactly what they are. A lot of us are in Alice's position, maybe more often than we like to admit. When the form is there, we expect the meaning. And if the meaning's not there, we'll create it. Well, actually we always create it because the meaning's not there, the meaning is here. And somehow we don't want to admit that nonsense is nonsense. What Lewis did was create a frame, and he put a few dots on the canvas. Yes, we can create a line for plot, but the rest of it is just the reader painting a picture all their own. And that's fine. Yeah, well, we like to create. That's a good thing. Use the imagination. But there's a big difference between here's what I created out of this and then claiming that that's what the poem means. What does the poem mean? The poem doesn't mean. But it's fun nonetheless. Cummings was working a little bit differently. While Carroll created form and then let the reader fill in the meaning, Cummings was a little more curious about what happens when you don't use the form that the reader expects. What happens when you break up the order? When you flip-flop words or put words where it doesn't seem to make sense? You start towards order and then you sidestep it. And because of that, the reader can't make assumptions. And that's something that we do in a lot of different ways, not just when we're reading. Once we get into a rhythm and we see where we think a sentence or a plot, a story is going, we have a tendency to assume the meaning. And when Cummings wrote, you couldn't assume. You had to actually look, think, and yes, you ended up creating your own meaning, the same as you would with Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky or any other piece of reading, because meaning exists in the head. The difference between Cummings' work and Carroll's work is, I would say, that while there is nothing but form filled with nonsense in Jabberwocky, in Cummings' work there is something a little more substantial. You can say not only this is what I see in the poem, this is what I take away from it, this is what I create from it, but you can point to the different parts and say, here's why I draw these conclusions, here's why I create these particular meanings. There is something within the poem that you can work with so that you're not just connecting random dots, but there are perhaps enough dots that we can connect it and make a picture. Here's one of my favorite E. Cummings poems. Whether it has any meaning or not, it's a pure joy to read. And sometimes that's enough. What if a much of a witch of a wind gives the truth to summer's lie, bloodies with dizzying leaves the sun, and yanks immortal stars awry. Blow king to beggar and queen to seem, blow friend to fiend, blow space to time. When skies are hanged and oceans drowned, the single secret will still be man. What if a keen of a lean wind flays screaming hills with sleet and snow, strangles valleys by ropes of things, and stifles forests in white ago? Blow hope to terror, blow seeing to blind, blow pity to envy and soul to mind. Whose hearts are mountains, roots are trees, it's they shall cry hello to the spring. What if a dawn of a doom of a dream bites this universe in two, peels forever out of his grave, and sprinkles nowhere with me and you? Blow soon to never and never to twice, blow life to isn't, blow death to was. All nothings only our hugest home. The most who die, the more we live. And Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky, which is also a joy to read. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the fruminous Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, Kaluk Kalay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Well, it's fun. And if you want to create meaning, go for it.